The wedding ceremony happened 3 days later. Tejo spent those days learning about Valari customs and trying not to panic. Every morning, servants came to his room with new clothes. Every afternoon, advisors came to teach him royal protocol. Every evening, he sat with Queen Nira and tried to understand who she really was. She was not what he expected. In public, she was cold and distant. Her face showed no emotion. Her voice was flat and commanding. She was the mask that a queen had to wear. But in private, when the doors were closed and the guards were gone, she was different. She laughed at his jokes, even the bad ones. She asked questions about Earth with genuine curiosity. She admitted that she was scared of failing her people. "I have been queen for 200 years, she told him one evening. "I have watched our numbers fall. I have attended more funerals than celebrations. I have felt the weight of extinction pressing down on my shoulders every single day." "That sounds lonely," Tejo said. "It is." She looked at him with those purple eyes. "You are the first person I have spoken to honestly in a very long time. Everyone else only tells me what they think I want to hear." "Well, I don't know what you want to hear," Tejo admitted. "So I just say whatever comes into my head." "I know. That is why I like talking to you." The wedding was held in the great temple of the First Mother. It was the oldest building on Vela Prime, built before the sickness came. The walls were made of a stone that glowed with inner light. The ceiling was open to the sky, letting the light of both moons shine down. Every remaining Valari came to watch. 50,000 people filled the temple and the streets around it. Their silver faces looked up at the platform where Tejo stood next to their queen. He could feel their hope pressing against him like a physical force. The high priest was ancient. His skin had turned from silver to pale gray. His voice was thin but clear as he spoke the words of the bonding ceremony. Tejo understood only some of it. The translator chip in his ear struggled with the old language, but he understood the important parts. "Do you accept this bond?" the high priest asked him. "Do you join your life to the queen's life? Do you swear to stand beside her until the stars go dark?" Tejo looked at Nira. She was dressed in robes of pure white, and the black crown sat on her head like a shadow. She was beautiful and terrifying, and somehow also the loneliest person he had ever met. "I do," he said. The high priest turned to Nira. "Do you accept this bond? Do you join your life to his life? Do you swear to stand beside him until the stars go dark?" "I do," she answered. The high priest raised his hands. "Then by the power of the First Mother, by the will of the sacred nebula, by the hope of all our people, I declare this bond complete. May new life spring from this union. May our empire be reborn." A roar went up from the crowd. 50,000 voices crying out in joy and relief. Silver hands reached toward the sky. Some people wept openly. Others fell to their knees in prayer. Tejo and Nira stood at the center of it all. Their hands joined, their fates now tied together. Later that night, they sat together in Nira's private chambers. The celebration continued outside, but they had slipped away. They were both exhausted, overwhelmed, unsure of what came next. "What happens now?" Tejo asked. "Now we wait," Nira said. "The bond takes time to strengthen. The healers say it could be months before we know if it truly works. And if it works, we have children?" Nira nodded slowly. "That is the hope. But I do not want to pressure you. This is all very strange for you. I understand that." Tejo laughed softly. "Strange is one word for it. I went to sleep expecting to wake up at a mining colony. Now I'm married to an alien queen and possibly responsible for repopulating an entire species. Do you regret it?" He thought about the question seriously. A week ago, his life had been empty. He had no purpose beyond paying his bills. He had no one who cared if he came home or not. Now he was at the center of something enormous. Something that mattered. No, he said finally. I don't regret it. I just hope I don't mess it up. Nira reached out and touched his hand. That strange energy passed between them again, warm and electric. You will not mess it up, she said. I have faith in you. Why? You barely know me. Because you are honest. Because you do not pretend to be something you are not. Because when I look at you, I see someone who tries to do the right thing, even when it is hard. Tejo felt his face grow warm. He was not used to compliments like this. He was not used to anyone seeing good things in him. Tell me about Earth, Nira said suddenly. Tell me about your home. So he did. He told her about Bizon, the city where he grew up. He told her about the ocean and the beaches and the sound of ships in the harbor. He told her about his mother, who sold fish at the market and always worried about him. He told her about the small apartment where he lived alone, eating instant noodles and watching old movies. It sounds beautiful, Nira said. Simple and peaceful. It was lonely, Tejo admitted. I had friends once, but we drifted apart. I had girlfriends too, but nothing lasted. I think there was something broken inside me. Something that made it hard to connect with people. And now? He looked at her. Now I'm connected to you. For better or worse. For better, she said firmly. I have decided it will be for better. A messenger arrived with news that the High Council wanted to meet with both of them. There were matters of state to discuss. The wedding changed many things politically, and decisions needed to be made. Nira sighed and stood up. The mask was back on her face. The Cold Queen returned, hiding the warm woman underneath. Duty calls, she said. It always does, Tejo replied. He stood up too, straightening the formal robes that still felt strange on his body. Let's go face it together. Nira paused at the door. For just a moment, the mask slipped, and she smiled at him. Together, she agreed. I like the sound of that. They walked out of the chamber side by side. Behind them, the city celebrated. Around them, guards fell into formation. Ahead of them, politicians and generals waited with their demands and questions. It was not a fairy tale. It was not a love story, at least not yet. It was two strangers bound by prophecy, trying to find their way in a situation neither had chosen. But as Tejo walked beside his queen, he felt something he had not felt in a very long time. He felt like he belonged somewhere. He felt like he mattered. Maybe that was enough for now. Maybe the rest would come later. The journey to the Valari homeworld took 3 days. Tejo spent most of that time in a small room that they called guest quarters. It had a bed that was too long for him, a window that showed nothing but stars, and a door that would not open from the inside. He was not a prisoner, they told him. He was a sacred guest. But the locked door said something different. YOR, I visited him every few hours. She brought him food that tasted strange, but kept him alive. She answered his questions with patience, though her answers only confused him more. Tell me about this prophecy, Tejo said on the second day. Yura sat across from him. Her silver skin reflected the blue lights of the room. She was beautiful in a strange way, like a statue made of metal and moonlight. 10,000 years ago, she began, our people were different. We were strong. Our queens were powerful. They could bond with any male they chose, and their children were mighty warriors. What happened? A great sickness came. It changed us. Our queens became unable to bond with Valari males. The connection would not form. Without bonding, there could be no children. Our population began to fall. Tejo listened carefully. This sounded like a real problem, but he still did not see how he fit into it. The first mother appeared to our ancestors in a vision, Yura continued. She said that salvation would come from outside. A male from beyond the stars would pass through her sacred breath. He alone would be able to bond with the Queen. He alone would save our people. And you think that male is me? I do not think, Yura said. I know. The nebula should have killed you. Your ship was destroyed around you. Your body nearly died 3 times. But you survived. The First Mother protected you. There is no other explanation. Taeho rubbed his face with his hands. This was insane. He was just a cargo pilot from Bizen. He barely passed his flight exams. He could not even keep a houseplant alive. How was he supposed to save an alien race? What if I say no? He asked. Yura's purple eyes went dark for a moment. No one has ever said no to the Queen. Well, maybe it's time someone did. You do not understand. Yura leaned forward. Our Queen is not a monster. She's not cruel. But our people are dying. We have less than 50,000 left. When I was young, there were 10 million. If you refuse, you are not just rejecting her. You are killing us all. The weight of her words pressed down on Taeho. He had never been responsible for anything more important than cargo deliveries. Now they were telling him that an entire species depended on his answer. I need to think, he said. You will have time, Yura promised. But not much. On the 3rd day, the ship arrived at the Valari homeworld. It was called Vela Prime, and it was the most beautiful planet Taeho had ever seen. The oceans were purple, like the nebula. The forests were silver, like the skin of its people. 2 moons hung in the sky, one gold and one white. The capital city rose from the center of the largest continent. Towers of crystal and metal reached toward the clouds. Ships flew between them like metal birds. Everything was elegant and ancient and sad. Many of the towers were dark. Many of the streets were empty. This was a civilization that was slowly dying. They landed on a platform near the largest tower. Guards in golden armor waited for them. They had spears that glowed with blue energy and faces that showed no emotion. Do not be afraid, Yura said. They will not harm you. I'm not afraid, Taeho lied. They walked through long hallways. The walls were covered with paintings and carvings. Taeho saw images of great battles, of powerful queens, of children playing in silver forests. History stretched back thousands of years on these walls. At the end of every story, there was emptiness. Blank spaces where new chapters should have been. The throne room was enormous. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Pillars of crystal held it up, each one carved with the faces of past queens. At the far end of the room, a single throne sat on a raised platform. And on that throne sat Queen Nera. She was tall, even for a Valari. 9 feet at least. Her silver skin was brighter than any Taeho had seen, almost white. Her eyes were deep purple, like pools of liquid amethyst. She wore a crown of black metal that seemed to absorb. The light around it dodged. She was the most terrifying and beautiful thing Taeho had ever seen. Approach, she said. Her voice echoed through the empty chamber. Taeho walked forward. His legs felt weak. His heart pounded in his chest. The guards watched him with their dead eyes. The pillars watched him with the faces of queens, who had died waiting for someone like him. He stopped at the bottom of the platform. He was supposed to bow, probably, but nobody had told him how. So he just stood there, looking up at the alien queen who expected him to marry her. You are small, Queen Nera said. I get that a lot, Taeho replied. A strange sound came from the guards. It might have been laughter. Queen Nera raised one hand, and they fell silent. You survived the sacred nebula, she said. This is fact. The prophecy says you are meant to bond with me. This is also fact. But I must ask you directly. Do you come here willingly? Taeho thought about lying. He thought about saying yes just to avoid trouble. But something in the queen's eyes made him tell the truth. No, he said. I do not understand any of this. I was just doing my job. I fell asleep in my ship, and now everyone expects me to save your people. I am not a hero. I am not special. I am just a man who was in the wrong place at the wrong time." The throne room was silent. The guards looked at each other nervously. No one had ever spoken to a queen like this, but Queen Mira smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "Finally," she said, "someone who tells me the truth." She stood from her throne and walked down the steps toward him. Each step made a soft sound on the crystal floor. She stopped directly in front of Tejo and looked down at him. "I did not ask for this either," she said quietly. "I did not want a bondmate chosen by prophecy. I wanted to choose for myself. But that option was taken from me long ago." Tejo saw something in her eyes that surprised him. Sadness. Loneliness. She was a queen with an empire. But she was also alone. "We are both trapped by circumstances we did not choose," she continued. "But perhaps we can find a way through this together. Not as queen and subject. Not as prophecy and fulfillment. But as two beings who are trying to survive." She held out her hand. Her fingers were long and silver and beautiful. "Will you at least try?" she asked. Tejo looked at her hand. He looked at her face. He thought about his empty apartment back on Earth. He thought about his meaningless job and his lonely life. Maybe this was insane. Maybe he would regret this forever. But standing in front of this sad, beautiful queen, he realized that he had nothing to lose. He took her hand. Her skin was cool against his. A strange energy passed between them, like static electricity, but deeper. Queen Mira's eyes went wide with surprise. "The connection," she whispered. "It's real. I can feel it." Around them, the guards fell to their knees. Yora, who had followed them into the throne room, pressed her hand to her heart. Tears of silver ran down her face. "The prophecy is true," she said. "The bond is forming. Our people will survive." Tejo did not feel like a savior. He felt like a confused cargo pilot who had just agreed to something he did not understand. But as he held the queen's hand, he felt something else too. Hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could figure this out. Tejo checked the cargo hold one last time before he climbed into the cryopod. 42 containers of mining equipment. Nothing special. Just another job that would take him 6 months across the dark space between Earth and the mining colony on Kepler 442b. He was 29 years old. He had no wife, no children, and no dog waiting for him back home. His apartment was small and empty. His bank account was almost empty too. This job would fix that problem. 6 months of sleep, and he would wake up with enough money to pay his rent for 2 years. The cryopod was cold. It was always cold. Tejo pressed the green button and felt the freezing mist cover his body. His eyes closed. His heart slowed down. His mind went blank. He did not dream. Nobody dreams in cryosleep. It is like death, but temporary. You close your eyes in one place, and you open them in another. Simple. But something went wrong. The ship's computer detected an asteroid field that was not on any map. It tried to go around it. The new path took the ship too close to a strange nebula. Purple and gold clouds of gas stretched across space like the fingers of a sleeping giant. The ship's systems started to fail one by one. First, the navigation went dark. Then the communication array stopped working. The engines tried to push through, but the nebula was too thick. Too strange. Energy readings that made no sense filled the computer's memory banks. The ship drifted. It drifted for a long time. Inside his pod, Tejo slept. He did not know that his oxygen levels were dropping. He did not know that his heart had almost stopped 3 times. He did not know that something very large had found his tiny ship floating in the purple mist. The Valari had watched the nebula for 10,000 years. It was sacred to them. They called it the breath of the first mother. No ship had ever entered it and survived. No living creature had ever passed through its heart and come out the other side. Until now, the patrol vessel found the human ship floating near the edge of the nebula. It was damaged but not destroyed. The Valari soldiers looked at each other with wide eyes. Their silver skin glowed brighter when they were surprised, and right now, they were very surprised. "There is a life sign," one soldier said. "One creature, still alive." The captain of the patrol vessel was a tall female named Yora. She had served the queen for 200 years. She had seen many strange things, but she had never seen anything like this. "Bring it aboard," she said. They cut through the hull of the human ship with their tools. They found the cargo containers. They found the broken navigation system. And they found the cryopod with the small creature inside. Tejo was short by Valari standards. They were usually 8 feet tall. He was only 5 feet and 10 inches. His skin was a strange brown color, not silver like theirs. He had black hair on his head, which they found very odd. Valari had no hair. "Is it dead?" A young soldier asked. Yura pressed her hand against the glass of the pod. Her fingers were long and thin, with 4 joints instead of 3. She could feel the weak heartbeat inside. "No," she said. "It lives." She looked at the nebula behind them. The purple and gold clouds swirled slowly, like they were watching, waiting. "Do you understand what this means?" Yura asked her crew. They all understood. Every Valari child learned the old stories. The prophecy was simple. Any male who survived the breath of the first mother was chosen by the gods. He was destined to bond with the queen, to bring new strength to their dying bloodline. For 10,000 years, the Valari had waited. Many had tried to cross the nebula. All had died. Their queens had remained unbonded, growing older and weaker with each generation. And now, this small, strange creature had done what no Valari could do. He had survived. "Wake him," Yura commanded. The medical officer opened the cryopod. Warm air rushed in. Color returned to Tejo's face. His fingers moved first, then his arms. His eyes opened slowly. He saw silver faces looking down at him. Tall bodies. Strange eyes that had no whites, only deep purple. He tried to scream, but his throat was too dry. "Do not be afraid," Yura said. Her voice was deep and smooth. She spoke in a language that Tejo's translator chip could barely understand. "You are safe now." Tejo sat up slowly. His whole body hurt. His head felt like it was full of rocks. He looked around the room. Metal walls. Blue lights. Creatures that looked like something from his childhood nightmares. "Where am I?" He managed to say. "You are aboard the Royal Patrol vessel Eternal Dawn," Yura answered. "You are in the territory of the Valari Empire." Tejo had never heard of the Valari Empire. He had never seen creatures like this before. Earth had made contact with 7 alien species, but none of them looked like this. "My ship," he said. "My cargo." "Your ship is destroyed," Yura told him. There was something in her voice. Something like respect. "But you survived. You passed through the sacred nebula. You are the first to ever do this." Tejo did not understand why that mattered. He was just a cargo pilot. He was nobody special. He had not done anything brave. He had just been asleep. "We are taking you to the queen," Yura said. "Why?" Tejo asked. His voice was getting stronger now. "I haven't done anything wrong. I was just passing through. I didn't mean to enter your space." Yura smiled. At least, Tejo thought it was a smile. Her mouth moved in a way that seemed friendly. "You do not understand," she said. "You are not in trouble. You are blessed. The prophecy speaks of you. The gods have chosen you. Chosen me for what? Yora looked at her crew. They were all staring at the small human with a mix of wonder and fear. This creature would change everything. Their queen would finally have a bondmate. Their empire would finally have an heir. You will marry our queen, Yora said simply. You will save our people. Tejo stared at her. He opened his mouth. He closed it again. He looked around at all the silver faces watching him. Then he laughed. That's funny, he said. Very funny. Now please take me home. But nobody else was laughing. And slowly, very slowly, Tejo realized that they were not joking. He had gone to sleep alone in his cryopod. He had expected to wake up at a mining colony with a fat paycheck waiting for him. Instead, he was light years from home, surrounded by aliens, and apparently engaged to their queen. His mother had always told him he would have trouble finding a wife. She never said anything about this. 1 year had passed since Tejo woke up on an alien ship. 1 year since his life changed forever. 1 year of learning, adapting, and slowly falling in love with a queen who had once seemed like a stranger. The palace was quiet this morning. Tejo walked through the halls that had become familiar to him. He knew every turn, every painting, every face carved into the crystal pillars. This was his home now. It felt right that he found Nira in the garden. She was sitting by the silver fountain, her hand resting on her stomach. The sight of her made his heart swell with emotions he still could not fully name. Good morning, he said. She looked up and smiled. It was not the smile of a queen. It was the smile of a woman who was happy. The healers came this morning, she said. They confirmed it. Tejo felt his breath catch. He had known this was possible. They had hoped for it. But hearing the words was different. You're pregnant? She nodded. Tears were forming in her purple eyes. The bond is complete. The prophecy is fulfilled. Our child will be the firstborn to a Valari queen in over 500 years. Tejo crossed the garden in 3 steps. He knelt beside her and took her hands in his. He could feel the warmth of the bond between them, stronger than ever before. It pulsed with life, with promise, with the future they were creating together. I don't know how to be a father, he admitted. I barely knew my own father. He left when I was young. I don't know how to be a mother, she replied. No queen has been a mother in centuries. We will learn together. She pulled him closer and pressed her forehead against his. This was a Valari gesture of deep affection, more meaningful than any kiss. Their minds touched through the bond, sharing emotions that words could never express. Love, hope, fear, joy. They were all there, tangled together like threads in a tapestry. The news spread quickly through the palace. By midday, the entire planet knew. The queen was with child. The prophecy was true. The Valari would survive. Celebrations erupted in every city. People danced in the streets. Temples filled with worshippers giving thanks to the First Mother. For the first time in generations, the future seemed bright. The High Council met that afternoon. Tejo stood beside Nira as she addressed him from her throne. He was no longer just her bondmate. After the victory against the Korath, he had earned respect in his own right. People called him the Human Prince. He was not sure he liked the title, but he accepted it. Our child will be the heir to the Empire, Nira announced. But more than that, this child will be a symbol that our people are not dying, a symbol that the universe has not forgotten us. An old advisor spoke up. The child will be half human, Your Majesty. Some may question its right to rule. Nira's eyes went cold. The queen mask settled over her features. The prophecy did not promise a pure Valari heir. It promised survival. Anyone who questions this child questions the First Mother herself. I will not tolerate it. The advisor shrank back. No one else dared to speak. Later, Tejo walked with Yura through the palace grounds. She had been promoted to commander of the royal guard after the Korath battle. She was loyal to him now, not just to the queen. Some will resist, she warned him. The old families, the traditionalists. They have waited 10,000 years for a savior, but they imagined someone different. Someone taller, maybe. Tejo laughed. Someone silver? Yes, Yura smiled. But they are few. Most of our people accept you. They see what you have done. They see how the queen loves you. Does she love me? It was a question he had not dared to ask before. Yura stopped walking. She looked at him with her deep purple eyes. I have served the queen for 200 years, she said. I have seen her wear the mask every day, cold, distant, alone. But when she is with you, the mask falls away. She laughs. She hopes. She dreams. Yura put her hand on his shoulder. Yes, human. She loves you. And it is clear that you love her. Tejo thought about his old life. The empty apartment. The meaningless job. The loneliness that had followed him like a shadow. He had never believed he would find love. He had never believed he deserved it. Now he had more than he ever imagined. That evening, a ship arrived from Earth. Tejo was summoned to the landing platform. He stood beside Nira as the human vessel touched down. It was a diplomatic cruiser sent by the United Earth Federation. News of his situation had finally reached home. The ambassador was a woman named Park Soo-min. She was tall for a human, with sharp eyes and a sharper tongue. She looked at Tejo with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. You are the human who married an alien queen? She asked. I am, Tejo replied, though I prefer to think of it as surviving a series of very unusual circumstances. Nira stepped forward. Her presence commanded attention, even among humans who had never seen a Valari before. Ambassador Park, she said. I am Queen Nira of the Valari Empire. My husband speaks highly of humanity. I hope that you will prove his words true. The ambassador recovered quickly. Your Majesty, the Federation is interested in this development. An alliance between our peoples could be beneficial to both. What followed was weeks of negotiation. Tejo found himself playing the role of translator and mediator. He explained human customs to the Valari and Valari traditions to the humans. He smoothed over misunderstandings and built bridges between two species that had never met before. In the end, they signed a treaty. Earth would provide technology and resources. The Valari would share their advanced medicine and knowledge of space. Trade routes would open. Cultural exchanges would begin. It was the start of something new. Something bigger than any of them had imagined. On the day the ambassador left, she pulled Tejo aside. You've done well, she said. There was genuine respect in her voice now. When I heard about you, I thought you were just some lucky fool who stumbled into something he didn't understand. But you're more than that. I'm just a cargo pilot, he said. I still don't really understand most of this. Maybe that's why it works. She smiled for the first time. You don't try to be more than you are. You just try to do the right thing. That's rare. In any species. She shook his hand and boarded her ship. Tejo watched it lift into the sky and disappear among the stars. That night, he sat with Nira in their chambers. Her stomach was just beginning to swell with the child growing inside her. Their child. The future of two species. Are you happy? She asked him. He thought about the question. A year ago, happiness seemed like something for other people. Something he would never find. Yes, he said. I'm happy. She leaned against him, her silver skin cool against his warmth. The bond hummed between them, carrying their emotions back and forth like music. I never believed in the prophecy, Nira admitted quietly. I thought it was just a story we told ourselves to avoid despair. But now I believe in something better than prophecy." She looked up at him. "I believe in us. In what we've built together. In what we will continue to build." Taeho kissed her forehead. It was a human gesture, but she had learned to love it. "Humanity has a saying," he told her. "When life gives you strange circumstances, you make the best of them. That is not a saying. I may have paraphrased a little." She laughed. It was the most beautiful sound he had ever heard. Outside, the twin moons rose over Velar Prime. In cities across the planet, Velari and human diplomats shared drinks and stories. In the depths of space, new trade routes were being mapped. Somewhere far away, the Korath were watching nervously, wondering what this alliance meant for their future. And in the palace, a cargo pilot from Bizan held his queen in his arms and marveled at how strange and wonderful life could be. He had gone to sleep alone. He had woken up married to an alien queen, and somehow, against all odds, he had found exactly where he belonged. Humanity did not conquer the stars. They married into them, and it was glorious. The Korath attacked without warning. Taeho had been married for 2 months when the alarm started screaming. He was eating breakfast with Nira, learning to enjoy the strange foods that the palace kitchens prepared for him. They had found some things that were almost like eggs and almost like rice. It was close enough to feel like home. Then the sky turned red. "What is happening?" Taeho asked, dropping his spoon. Nira's face went hard. The cold queen emerged instantly. "The Korath, our ancient enemies. They have found us." She was already moving, issuing commands through the communication device embedded in her wrist. Guards rushed into the room. Generals appeared on holographic screens, reporting the situation. It was bad. The Korath were an empire of conquerors. They had been at war with the Velari for thousands of years. But as the Velari population shrank, the Korath grew stronger. They smelled weakness. They smelled opportunity. 50 warships had appeared at the edge of the system. They were heading straight for Velar Prime. "How many ships do we have?" Taeho asked. 12, a general answered. His face was grim. "We have 12 ships capable of combat. 12 against 50. Even Taeho could do that math." "Evacuate the civilians to the underground shelters," Nira commanded. "Move our fleet to defensive positions around the planet. We will fight to the last." "My queen," another general said carefully, "if we fight, we will lose. Perhaps we should consider surrender. Negotiate for terms." Nira's eyes flashed with anger. "The Korath do not negotiate. They enslave. They destroy. If we surrender, our people will become their property." The general fell silent. Everyone in the room knew she was right. Taeho watched the tactical display. Red dots representing Korath ships moved closer and closer. Blue dots representing Velari ships were painfully few. It looked hopeless, but something in the data caught his eye. "Wait," he said. "Can you zoom in on their formation?" The generals looked at him with confusion. He was just the queen's bondmate. What did he know about war? "Do it," Nira said quietly. The display zoomed in. Taeho studied the Korath formation carefully. He was not a soldier, but he had spent 10 years flying cargo through dangerous space. He knew how to read ship movements. He knew how to spot patterns. "They're overconfident," he said. "Look at their spacing. They're not expecting resistance. They think this will be easy." "It will be easy for them," a general replied bitterly. "Not if we change the rules." Taeho pointed at the display. "Your ships are faster than theirs, right? Yora told me that Velari engines are the most advanced in this sector." "They are," Nira confirmed. "But speed alone cannot defeat their weapons." "No, but it can confuse them." Taeho's mind was racing now. He was thinking about all the times he had dodged pirates and avoided asteroid fields. He was thinking about the tricks he had learned from old pilots in dirty space bars. What if you don't fight them directly? What if you hit and run? Break their formation. Make them chase you. Pull them apart. The generals looked skeptical. Valari military doctrine was based on honor and direct combat. Fighting like this seemed cowardly, but Nero was listening. "Continue," she said. "Their formation is tight," Tejo explained. "If you attack the edges and then run, they'll have to spread out to chase you. The faster ships will get ahead of the slower ones. Once they're separated, you can pick them off one at a time." "That would take hours," a general objected. "Our ships cannot sustain that kind of combat." "They don't have to." Tejo was drawing on the display now, sketching paths with his fingers. "You draw them toward the asteroid belt. Here, let the rocks do the damage for you. Their big ships can't move through there, but yours can." The room was silent. Everyone stared at the tactical display with new eyes. "It's risky," another general said slowly, "but it could work." Nero looked at Tejo. "You learned this from cargo runs?" "I learned this from staying alive," he said. "When you're small and weak, you have to be smart. You can't win a fair fight, so you make sure the fight is never fair." A smile crossed Nero's face. It was fierce and proud. "Very well. Generals, implement this plan. I want our fastest ships at the front. Hit the Korath flanks and draw them into the asteroid belt." The next few hours were the longest of Tejo's life. He stayed in the command center with Nero, watching the battle unfold on holographic displays. Blue dots danced around red dots. Valari ships struck quickly and then vanished. Korath ships turned to pursue, breaking formation just as Tejo predicted. The first Korath ship died in the asteroid belt. It was too slow to dodge the rocks. Its shields failed under the constant impacts. When it exploded, a cheer went up in the command center, then another. And another. The Korath commander realized his mistake too late. He tried to reform his fleet, but the Valari ships were everywhere at once. They appeared from behind asteroids, fired their weapons, and disappeared again. It was not honorable combat. It was hunting. "They're retreating," a general announced. His voice was filled with disbelief. "The Korath are retreating." On the display, red dots were pulling back. Only 30 remained. The Valari had destroyed 20 ships without losing a single one of their own. The command center exploded with joy. Officers embraced each other. Some wept with relief. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. Nero stood quietly, watching the display. Her face was calm, but Tejo could see the emotion in her eyes. She turned to look at him. "You saved us," she said softly. "I just had an idea," he replied, feeling embarrassed by all the attention. "Your people did the hard work. Do not be modest." She walked toward him, and the room fell silent. Everyone watched as the queen approached her bondmate. "You saw what we could not see. You thought in ways we had forgotten how to think. This is what humans bring. This is why the prophecy chose you." She took his hands in hers. That electric warmth flowed between them again, stronger than before. "Today you proved your worth," she said loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Today you showed our people that they have a reason to hope. Not just for children, but for victory. For a future." The generals and officers began to clap. It started slowly and then grew into a roar of applause. Tejo stood there, overwhelmed, unsure how to respond. He was just a cargo pilot from Bizon. He had never been a hero, but maybe that was changing. Later that night, as the celebrations continued across the planet, Tejo stood on a balcony looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Korath were licking their wounds. They would be back eventually. But today, the Valari had won. Nira joined him. She had removed her crown and her formal robes. In simple clothes, she looked almost ordinary, almost human. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For being here. For thinking differently. For giving my people hope." She leaned against the railing beside him. "I spent 200 years watching us slowly die. Today, for the first time, I believe we might survive." Taeho looked at her. The light from the twin moons made her silver skin glow. "We will survive," he said. "Together." She smiled and took his hand. For the first time, it felt like more than just prophecy. It was starting to feel like love.